So this is just unreal. Barcelona were able to beat Villarreal 1-0 with a goal coming from Pedri. And the reason why I'm saying this is unreal is because who would have thought that Barcelona were going to come out with 3 points in this game, knowing how it went, knowing that Villarreal had some chances. Like, they could have scored. They could have scored about 2 or 3 goals if they were facing against Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid, Real Sociedad, or whatever team, Valencia, Elche, whichever. But not with FC Barcelona, which is the reason why for us it's so unreal, because 2 years ago we would have fallen in that category. We would have easily conceded those 2 or 3 goals from Villarreal because they were attacking us very well. But because Barcelona had a great defense, but because Barcelona also had a great goalkeeper like Ter Stegen, we were able to get out with another clean sheet. And that's what makes everything so surprising, is that this is a Barcelona team that is a winning team. I'm very optimistic about this Barcelona squad. This is the route that we should be going to. And again, I'm just in a good mood. I'm in a good mood because this is a very different Barcelona, a much different Barcelona. Even Quique Setién said after the match was over, and he said this, and I quote, "There is something that has changed a lot about this Barcelona squad, which is the way of pressing. The pressure is very intense in the opposition's half. Barcelona are the team that runs the most without the ball, and that is simply because of one man. That is because of Xavi Hernandez. He wants this team to know how to suffer and to also work hard with the ball, knowing that they cannot survive in a game if they do not have the ball. That is how you should be acting." And before, like 2-3 years ago, when we had Quique Setién or Valverde or Koeman or whoever we had in that managerial role, we seemed like we were okay with the opposition having the ball. Like, for example, back in that Barcelona versus Bayern Munich match where we had Ronald Koeman as our coach and Barcelona lost 3-0, Barcelona looked very comfortable giving Bayern Munich the ball at the Camp Nou, and we're like, what the heck is this? Where's our identity? Where's our dignity? Why are we not like trying to defend our badge? Why are we so comfortable giving them the ball? We're Barcelona. We're the ones that we're supposed to be outplaying the opposition. But now we sit here today saying the complete opposite. If anything, we're the ones that are dying to have the ball. We want to outplay the opposition. And if the opposition does have the ball, we know how to defend well. And one of the players that was able to really give us those 3 points is going to come down to Ronald Araujo, the center back that pretty much cleared all of the plays that Villarreal did within these 90 minutes. So we are going to be talking about Ronald Araujo and his game, then talk about Frenkie de Jong and his stats, and then lastly talk about Pedri, because these were the 3 players that did stand out the most within these 90 minutes. But I do want to make a few key points regarding the general review of this game. Point number 1, Barcelona, they know how to suffer. They're very good at knowing how to react when the opposition has the ball and there's momentum being built on the other side. Now, you may say, and I'm very prepared for this conversation, you may say that I'm sounding very contradicting, because I did say before, when Real Madrid were playing against other teams and they played bad but still came out with 3 points, why am I now sounding in a way contradicting that Barcelona played at a unusual level but still came out with 3 points, and I'm saying that that's okay? Why am I saying that? Why am I saying okay with Barcelona but not with Real Madrid? Well, here's the thing. Barcelona 99% of the time do not have bad, difficult games where they allow the opposition to find all of these opportunities and they're having the ball in the last 20 minutes. That's usually not Barcelona's way of ending their game, and especially under Xavi Hernandez. With Real Madrid, it's different. They do that in every game. They allow the opposition to play. They can do whatever they want. You look at how Real Madrid defeated that one team for the Club World Cup where they ended like 5-3 or something like that. That is offensive for Barcelona. It should be so offensive to allow 3 total goals. But in the end, for Real Madrid, it's okay, right? They can do whatever they want because they have a different philosophy, if they even have a philosophy. But that is basically how all of their games do go down. They don't care. They don't care about the opposition outplaying them or having more possession. They don't care if they play ugly. They just want to get the 3 points, right? And to me, in my opinion, that's bad, because if that is happening 99% of the time, that is disgraceful. Like, how are you going to try and promote a football like that to the youth? Like, my condolences to the under 16, under 17, under 19 Real Madrid squads. And so the reason why I'm saying it's okay for Barcelona to have a game like this is because it barely does happen. And another point is going to be this: we're also a team under construction. Real Madrid is not. Barcelona is a team under great construction under Xavi Hernandez. We're trying to build this team. We want these players to understand the methodology, the idea, our identity. We want to reinforce certain positions, which is why it's okay to be having games like this where we are going to be seeing the opposition, like Villarreal in this match, see a few chances and surprise us, FC Barcelona. And the moment Barcelona is not under construction no more, which I assume is going to be ending by the time we get into August 2023, Barcelona is going to be in a much different place. And games like this, like against Osasuna, that did happen about 2 months ago, where we saw Marcos Alonso get tackled, or like another example could be like Real Betis, or the game against Villarreal, which was today. We're going to be seeing games like that much less. Even Pep Guardiola had games like that, but very rarely, like once every 10 to 12 games. Right now we're on a ratio of 1 every 5 games, which is okay. Another key point I want to talk about is I just felt like Barcelona could have done so much on the left side against Villarreal because we had Xavi. Xavi, like I've always said, he is that false left winger, so he does join the midfield. He played phenomenal. He played amazing in my opinion, but I felt like this was a game where we needed a very effective left wing because there was just so much space on Villarreal's right side that we could have tackled. So I was like, this is the perfect moment for someone like Ansu Fati to be in, or maybe Ferran Torres to be in. Most importantly, Ansu Fati, but it just did not happen for Barcelona. Barcelona were trying to tackle the right side on their side with Rafinha receiving those passes from either Pedri or Lewandowski, or sometimes we try to attack through the middle with Pedri, Lewandowski, and Xavi, which worked phenomenally very well, right? We saw Barcelona score that golazo in the first 20 minutes with Pedri doing a 1-2 with Lewandowski. Pedri receives the ball again inside the box and he flicks the ball into the bottom left corner, which was an amazing goal, a goal that I was like, I dreamt about this, right? And the fact that we saw Pedri in higher positions, because in the previous game we saw Pedri right next to Frenkie de Jong acting like a double pivot. The fact that we saw Pedri in higher positions, I'm like, this is what I want to see in every game. I want to see the combinations between Lewandowski and Pedri, something that we saw in the first 1 to 2 months of this season. And so that is going to lead me towards the next point, which is point number 3, and that is Pedri being higher up the pitch and Kessie being right next to Frenkie. I want to ask you guys this: do you guys rather have Frenkie de Jong being paired with Pedri in the double pivot position with Kessie next to Xavi, or would you rather have what we saw today, Kessie right next to Frenkie de Jong, and form the double pivot with Pedri and Xavi up top and forming that combination with Lewandowski? It's a very interesting question because I think that with Kessie dropping deeper, there is much more defensive reinforcement in case we do lose the ball. But I also do want to see Kessie up higher because I think that he can produce those 1-2 type of passes like we saw in the past 2 games, and with Pedri being deeper next to Frenkie de Jong because we just look safer when we are on the ball. So it is a very interesting thing to talk about. I would love to compare the matches between Barcelona and Villarreal and then Barcelona versus Sevilla where we won 3-0. I do assume that the stats overall for each game are probably very different, mainly because Pedri and Kessie did switch positions. So I would love to compare that. Maybe I might make like a different video regarding that to see what could be Pedri and Kessie's preferred positions and what works out the best that does benefit Barcelona overall. But now let's go on to the 3 players that I want to talk about, which is Ronald Araujo, right? I want to talk about this player first because this guy is the man of the match. You cannot tell me that this player was not, because he was the reason why, like 90% of the time, why Barcelona were able to keep the clean sheet. This defense that we have with Balde, Araujo, and Koundé and Christensen, it is phenomenal. And Ter Stegen, right? It is something that you cannot find anywhere else in Europe, and I think that the heart of this, it is Araujo. So here are going to be the final stats of Araujo versus Villarreal. He played a total of 90 minutes. He had the most tackles. He won the most duels. He won 67% of the tackles, had a total of 4 recoveries. He won all of his ground duels. He won 80% of his aerial duels, and then he had an accurate pass rate of 23 out of 26. So what a performance from this center back. Is really reminding me of the days of Puyol, because I remember Puyol used to make those crazy last minute clearances when one of the forwards of the opposition had the ball and he was on a 1v1 versus the goalkeeper, but out of nowhere Puyol came and then he just kicked the ball out. The same thing is going on with Araujo. He's having the exact same spirit and playing style, and you just love to see it. Moving on towards player number 2, and that is Frenkie de Jong. Xavi Hernandez did say 24 to 48 hours ago that he is so happy with Frenkie de Jong, and I quote, "We're seeing the best Frenkie since me and my staff arrived here at FC Barcelona." He also explained about 2 weeks ago that we have finally found the best position for Frenkie de Jong, and he looks much more comfortable there, which is very true. Every game that Frenkie does play is just an upgrade. He continues to have great performances, just like someone like Araujo and Ter Stegen. Frenkie de Jong is probably the most consistent. In this game against Villarreal, he had a total of 71 touches. 47 out of the 54 passes were accurate, had 4 out of 5 long balls completed, 5 passes into the final third, 1 chance created. This is crazy because remember, this is him as a double pivot. Like who is Enzo Fernandez or who is Casemiro? And so he had a total of 2 dribbles, 0 times dispossessed, right? You cannot get the ball off of him. He did not lose the ball not once, had 1 tackle completed, 1 clearance, 6 interceptions, 9 ball recoveries, 7 out of 12 duels won, and 2 fouls won. So these are stats that shows you that Frenkie is a very smart player, not just a very effective player, but a smart player, a player that knows exactly what decisions to make and knows exactly when to commit that foul. And so do you guys remember that conversation that many people had about saying we should sell Frenkie de Jong and bring in Bernardo Silva? Like, just look at how dumb people look today. Like this guy, this is our man. This is our man for the future with Xavi and Pedri. Pedri, Xavi is our main midfield. Whoever wants to come in throughout this era, their era, in these next 10 years, years they're more than welcome. You just have to be like technically gifted and that's it. But these three right here are the main midfielders for us for the next 10 years. They're not going to be leaving. They're not interested in playing for another club. No, Frenkie de Jong is never ever going to go to Manchester United unless he plays against them, right? Just like what the girlfriend did say. But this is our player. This is our man, and I'm so happy for Frenkie de Jong. And the last player that I do want to talk about, it is Pedri. Pedri has to be called out of these three players because Pedri did score the goal. He was phenomenal. He was running everywhere. He was basically doing the defensive work and the offensive work. Like, yes, we saw him in higher areas next to Xavi, but he was still defending a lot. He also scored the goal for FC Barcelona. Again, doing that combination with Lewandowski. I was like, where did this even come from? This is Iniesta, Messi type of vibes. This is like what Messi and Iniesta used to do back in 2010, 2011, and 2012. It's just out of nowhere. Like, they receive the ball, just it only takes one touch, and then in about 2 seconds, the ball's inside the net. It's just crazy to me what Xavi is doing to this team, which is why I do trust this process, and I hope that you guys are too. I hope you guys are enjoying the type of football that Barcelona is displaying, because we are going to be impacting not just the generation of now, but the generation that will be coming in about 6 to 7 years. So that will be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.